Aloha and welcome to the best session ever. Guaranteed, because I said so. I have one word for you today, and that word is relax. And I'll see you next week. Thank you, everybody, for showing up. Best session ever. You got the message? Chill the fuck out. Unwind all that crazy shit that you've been desperately holding together that isn't real. Told you it was going to be the best session ever. I'm done. Appreciate you. I'm going to get back to my day now. Okay, I'll do a little bit more. Well, not a lot, because that was enough. You kind of know it. You kind of know it. Chill the fuck out. Bridget. Kate, chill the fuck out. Well, Brian, we're not that wound up right now. Y'all, I ain't just talking. I'm not just talking to them, right? We know that. By now, we know I just said their names, so you would feel like, oh, he's not talking to me. Yes, I am. Listen to me. The day when you relax enough to find out how wound up you've been, there will be a puddle under you of tears. And whatever else leaks out when you let go. I don't want to know. Don't send me any pictures or descriptions. All right. I want to help today. I want to help you get more of what you want. Anybody starting to get more of what they want, or anybody starting to feel better? Anybody starting that level 5 shit kind of fucking works. Then it's like, what the hell? It's like, but then there's still that stuff. Are you sure? I know that I will talk today about some things I have talked about 40 or 50,000 times. And I know I'm going to say a few things that I've never said. And the odds are that most of you won't know the difference. That joke was purely for my own benefit. I'm glad a couple of you guys are able to laugh with me. But you know what I mean, don't you? You know what I mean, right? We already know all this. Really? Really? So I actually found out about a minute before the session what the title of this session is. Usually I find out in the last 5 minutes of the session or right afterwards. So the name of today's session is, I'll tell you at the end. That's not the name. Today's session is going to be the bridge. The bridge. Ooh. I like that bridge. Might get somewhere. So some of you have been going through some serious shit. I saw that, Nazi. I saw you went, ooh, I've been waiting for a bridge. Thank you. Some of you have been going through some really serious shit, but actually you only think you are. But oh, is it convincing? Ain't it, Christy? Ain't it convincing? God damn. Some of you, every once in a while, you have an epiphany and you go, woo, I've got it now. Won't be any more shit in my life ever. I've got it. I just broke through. And then 3 days later, after riding high, worse than ever, you're sure, because you're not choosing presence. in those moments. Can you count the times on one or two or four hands, Karen? How many times you were like, I got it this time. I finally got it. And it's going to be, yay. It's going to be so. And then, oh, it's worse. And then you really feel that it's worse because you think there's something that follows because. All these jokes are for me today. I'm just loving this. So, enough of this rambling. Let me get to the serious rambling. You ever notice how you can think about quantum physics and you think about how, okay, down there, those little electrons and shit like that, bosons and quarks and protons, you like there's no weight, there's no mass, there's nothing, it's just light blinking in and out of existence. I get it, right? All of us fucking armchair quantum physicists, we got that shit so figured out now. Yeah, I got it. I know. And then you go to battle with the physical universe 5 seconds later. Don't you? Don't you? Don't you? Who knows what I'm talking about? Come on, don't bullshit now. Who knows what? If you don't know what I'm talking about, I want to help you know what I'm talking about. But who does? Let me see. Don't put your hand down yet. I want to see. One don't, two don't, two don't. Y'all are lying. Okay, because yes, you do know. Let me make it a little more clear. Do you believe that we create our own reality, or something like that? Do you? We don't. But Brian, you've been saying, oh, I've been using the English language to the best of my ability. And my ability sometimes improves because of what I choose to be focused on. Listen, I might still use the words sometimes for lack of better words, whatever the hell that means, but we don't create our reality. Nope. Oh, goddamn, Brian, you're going to change the shit now? Fuck. Well, just wait. You might like it. This is a major clarifier. Much more than us creating our own reality, much, much, much more accurately, we continue to experience that which we think and believe that we know, the vast majority of which is hidden from us by us, much of which is tangled up with emotions that we don't want to feel. And we continue to experience that. All those law of attraction people, some of whom are in disguise on this session with us right now, all those law of attraction people saying, well, why did I create that? Why would we create that? As if that question was going to bring you any illumination. How many times have you asked that question? Be honest. How many times have you asked that question? Variants of it. You want to say something, John? Oh, you're just letting me know enough times, right? Enough time. Enough time. So let's go back to the quantum physics question. You sit there and you read that little quantum physics little bookie thing again, or you watch a quantum physics video, or you contemplate for a moment. At the subatomic level, there's nothing physical there. Nothing real. It's just light blinking in and out of existence. I got it this time. And then you look away from the subatomic back to reality, and how hard and real it is, and you go to battle with it. Does that make sense this time? You know what I'm talking about? Yeah? Oh, okay. Oh, those who didn't raise their fucking hand, they nodding now. Okay, good. So, what we, quote, need, I realize, what would be so beneficial would be a bridge from that subatomic understanding and that bridge that builds out to our reality, where we can see that as above, so below, as within, so without. It's great to say it. Any spiritual fuck can utter the phrase as above, so below, as if they meant it, as if they were living it. Hence their spiritual fuckness. So, who I see some implicit agreement. Let's make it explicit. You know what it does for my ego when you guys raise your hands on command. Who feels or knows or perceives that something like, using the English language such as it is, a bridge that helps us to live at the macro what we understand that the micro would be beneficial and helpful? Anybody? Oh, see, that's everybody right there. Me too. And I have the strange perception that I'm here on the planet to help build it. In fact, it's what I've been doing the whole time. And I read your comments, whether you private message them to me or whether you post them in the group. I actually fucking care. Shocker. And whether you've ever thought about it consciously or not, when you check in right now, one of the things that's helping you the most, again, might may be totally implicit until right now, when as I make it implicit, check in and see if it's true. One of the things that helps you the most is the fact that you can tell that I actually care. Those of you that plunked down 24 grand, whether you had it or not, those of you that find 24 grand to invest with me, to spend 4 days with me and get every course I've ever done, and then 3 months of follow-up one-on-one, those of you who do that, and those of you who said, Brian, when you offered that pay what you can course, I had 50 bucks in PayPal and I'm behind on rent. Can I pay 20 bucks right now? You equally know that I care, right? Think about that for a minute. Let that kind of settle in. A couple of you that I've done things for, I'm definitely not going to say any names. A couple of you that I've done things for, and you've commented back to me privately, I won't believe you just did that. Thank you. And those of you who sometimes secretly sit and curse me when you're going through your low times, this program's not helping either. You still know. I'm not supposed to know that, am I? So, building a bridge. I've been talking about it for weeks, and it came much clearer to me this morning. So if we're going to look at this, why is it so goddamn hard? I know that's level 4 language. Why is it so goddamn hard to live this shit? We all know it's only energy. We're all one. What if there was a giant global, or maybe even a giant galactic conspiracy to make spirituality the ultimate trap? What if? What if? Is it possible? Now, if that was true, guess who is still the one behind it all? Even if that's true. So, see, no matter how deep you're willing to go down the rabbit hole of how the fuck did I get here, you're still the one. Anybody else hear that song right when I said it? I thought so. I thought I saw Linda. She was about to go, no, no. She was about to do that bopping thing that she did last time she heard that song. Time to go to a music break. Let me pull that up. We're still having fun. And you are still the motherfucker behind it all. I might rewrite the lyrics of that song just for fun now, just because. Don't think I won't. I have lyrics already popping in my mind. Let me get out of there real quick. Come back to the session. What if there is a multi-millennia long galactic conspiracy to keep us trapped in spiritual concepts and practices that all the spiritual fucks are advocating and perpetuating? What if? I'm asking again, is that possible? Do you see that that is a possibility in your universe? Come on now. Give me a little nod or something. If you don't act like you do. You don't, no peer pressure here. You do, you do too. Even you. You ain't gonna give me no fucking indication whatsoever. Like, no, well, I don't know what to do. That's fine. That's okay. It wasn't required. Almost everybody does. Almost everybody here. Outside of here, I wouldn't necessarily want to ask that question. Law of detraction. What the fuck is that? All those universal laws? And people who are saying that they recognize that everything is source, and they still are preaching and talking about mastering the universal laws. Who's the universal lawyer? That's us projecting the control structure in our humanity onto the universe. Oh, we're getting dangerously close to freedom. Not sure if that's okay, because they told us that that was the ultimate bad. I mean, if we were free, you know what we'd be doing. Turning invisible and hanging out in the bathroom and watching people. Really? Don't interest me. Why is it that you guys know what I'm talking about? Like, what the fuck? A bunch of perverts. I'm out of here. You guys do the session without. Oh, I said it. Oops. Ah! Oh, damn. Mm. Breathe deeper. Relax a little bit more. What if presence is it? I know I've never said anything like that before. What if presence is enough? Let's be honest. How much of the shit in your life, we're building a bridge here, whether it looks like it or not, how much of the shit in your life that you don't want is the direct result of you being more present? I'm with you. Now I'm going to ask that question again. I want you to look. You know, I told you that sometimes when I do a session with someone who I can tell that they're experiencing significant fear, terror, I will stop the session and say, listen, go look under your bed, see if there's a monster there. And they go, and I said, I'm not kidding. Because you don't know for sure there's not. Go check. And they go check. And they come back. And I said, now go check your closets. I'm not kidding. Go check your damn closets. Because until you know that there's nobody in that house, you're not going to feel safe, because part of you still wound up about the times when you felt there was. When your brother and sister ganged up on you when you were 3 years old and they scared the fucking shit out of you and you never recovered. You never unwound that. But Brian, I don't feel terrified 24/7. Nope. But it's in there ready to be activated. And when it gets activated, you think you're scared about what's happening now, which is why you took those prescriptions that they gave you, which didn't, those pills, they do not go in and undo that traumatic moment. Building a bridge here. I'm going to do something super, 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 super unusual here. Carol, I'm going to talk to you about this later, and I'm just going to go ahead and say it now. I would like for you to really consider the possibility of allowing me to make our session yesterday publicly available. I know, I was waiting for that face, okay? And if you watch the replay yourself and then you say, oh, actually, I would be cool with that. I would be cool with people seeing that. It's nothing fucking bad or wrong or embarrassing or anything, right? But you'll want to see it at least once to make sure. Um, and if you do find something in there, if I have to edit out a few words, you know what I'm saying, right? Well, you're saying that, but let's make sure that it's 100% before we get that. Okay. So, are you okay with me referring generically to the topic and what we realize? Okay. Um, no names or anything, but a couple details. That's cool. Okay. All right. So everybody, listen closely, please. Thank you, Carol. As I have said, keep breathing now. Relax. Relax. Christy, relax. You don't need to be on the edge of your seat, literally, if you know what I mean. Everybody relax. If you knew how unrelaxed you have been, frenetic, frantic, manic, panic, feeling like you is on the Titanic. I just had to do that. I had to do that. Oh shit, it's going down. If and when you ever relax enough to find out how tight you've actually been on how many levels, you're going to be sitting in a puddle. Do you know that what I'm saying is true? on this topic, or do you suspect it? Either one. Do you know that it's true? Okay. So what are you protecting yourself from by keeping everything so tight? I don't have any idea, and I don't think I want to, Brian. Best answer. So yesterday, Carol had a session that's been sitting available to her for a while. She was ready to do it, and we did it. And Carol and I love each other enough. She knows I love her enough that I get to pick at her now. So she's cringing that I said that because she knows I'm about to pick at her. I mean, this chick has been doing therapy on people for decades. You would think that she would know something, except for the fact that she's a human. Well, she's infinite, unlimited, being disguised as a human, which is very convincing. And we're desperately holding, hint, 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 that illusion of me together. Partly because we don't know what would happen if we didn't, and partly because we're afraid that we know what would happen if we didn't. God damn, somebody write that one down. Some good shit right there. Carol's past. Okay, so what we experience is everything we think and believe that we know, the vast majority of which is hidden from us by us. Well, her stuff that's hidden from her by her is just as fucking hidden from her as yours is from you. If that's encouraging to you, she's as fucked up as we are. And as perfect as we are. And so there was an issue that she has wanted to address. We've done multiple sessions, quote, on that issue, working our way towards that issue, undoing shit on the way to that issue. So those of you who say, "Oh, I'm going to do a one-on-one session with Brian to undo that issue," don't expect that. You might limit your results. You could have that as part of your intention. All right, I'm going to do something that's totally inappropriate right now. I'm once again, I'm juggling multiple balls here. It's okay. I'm going to do something totally inappropriate because I fucking can. I over deliver so much. If anybody ever has an issue with it, please tell me about it, and then I'll tell you to get over it very gently with love. Okay? Carol brought up a possibility to me today, and I'm going to lay this out, and I'm actually going to take about 3 to 4 minutes right now. I might be able to do it quicker than that on something like a commercial. Okay. I am about to really, 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 really take this level 5 business to the next level. And a couple people that have gotten involved with me, by far the greatest team and the greatest magic on the team in the last 8.5 years since I started doing this. There's major magical synchronicity coming together to help me to take this to a way higher level. And that means, because of my choices, that my prices are going to go up, my availability is going to max out, so to speak. And the idea that Carol brought up is something that I am willing to do now. And if I'm ever going to do it again or later, it will probably be 5 or 10 times the investment. Okay? Those of you who feel just feel that. Don't judge me, feel that. It's not going to do you any good. I'm not going to care about you judging me. There's things I want to do in this world. There's some things I want to accomplish that are beginning to become, I've alluded to this in the last couple sessions, things that I'm beginning to see are more important, once again, for lack of a better word, more important than I ever thought or imagined. You know how I've said, yes, we can all fly. I'm going to help you understand that better today. That it's like making it real. Yes, we can all fly. Of course we can. There's no gravity here except for the gravity we're making. Of course we can all go breath air in and live without food. Are you kidding? Of course. If one ever has, everybody can. Doesn't mean we want to, doesn't mean we understand it. But once we understand it, it's about handling the beliefs between here and there. It's about the bridge between hearing about breatharianism, deciding to do it, and then the bridge that you build of moving from believing you need food to knowing that you don't. You don't do it by stopping eating today any more than you learn to fly by jumping off the tallest structure in a 50-mile radius. You handle everything that you believe that you know, thing you believe that you know about gravity and splattering and bodies, and you shift it to knowing that you can fly. That does make sense, doesn't it? Is anybody experiencing more of like knowing that's actually real? Like we all kind of heard it, we all kind of dreamed about it, we all thought, wouldn't it be nice if? But is anybody besides me starting to actually get that? No, that actually makes total fucking sense, and I kind of believe now that I could do that. That's most. And I don't expect everybody to say yes to that. Those of you who don't, pay more attention to every session, breathe deeper and relax more until it enters your realm of possibility. Okay? You don't have to let me talking about that. Well, I don't know then. No, just stay right where you are, breathing deep, opening up and being curious. And I am standing on the same truth I always have, which is the world don't need level 5. Nobody needs this. Nobody, like everything will be fine if everybody dies and the planet gets turned into a desert. That's fine. It doesn't matter to the universe, which doesn't really exist. But guess what? To be honest, it matters to you, doesn't it? And it matters to me. And therefore it matters. It materializes. There's the saying, I'm juggling even more balls, and it's okay. I know where I am. It's all good. The story about the granddad and the little boy walking on the beach, and the little boy's picking up sand dollars that are drying out in the sun and throwing them back in the water, right? Everybody knows. Everybody knows. I'm going to tell it any fucking way. And the granddad says, what are you doing? He says, these things are going to die in the sun. I'm throwing them back in the water to help them live. And the granddad said, dude, there's like 100,000 of them on this beach. You're throwing in 5 or 10. It's not going to make a difference. And the little boy looks at the one he's holding and says, it makes a difference to this one. And he throws it back in. Kindness matters. Love matters. Generosity matters. Because it matters to fucking me. And because it matters to you. And so I've sat in relative peace looking at all the conspiracies and looking at all the MK Ultra and all the Project Mockingbird and all the stuff that's going on. Child sex trafficking, all the shit that on the physical planet. You know what? All that plastic in the ocean, it's all fine. It's fucking all fine. There's no physical universe here, except for the fact that if we want to affect it, we're not going to affect it by just letting it sit. It doesn't, we don't want to build, oh, this needs to happen. We don't need to build another religion. We don't need to build another must, got to, have to, should. If we come from there, we're making the quote problem. However, I'm seeing more and more this hint that I hint at every once in a while, the possibility of a multi-millennia galactic conspiracy. Some people or beings doing things to imprison and trap and hold others for harvesting of different ways. And I don't prefer that. I don't prefer that. I prefer love, kindness, and I said this many years ago. Like I would like if I can affect the planet at all, I would like to do things that make it so that when my kids walk out the door, the probability of them encountering hugs and smiles and help as opposed to machine guns, smoke, and swinging machetes. And so I'm feeling what the word that I have is importance of what I'm doing and building this bridge and getting this to the people who are literally sitting right now. Think about where you were a year ago. People that right now are praying, literally, in their hopelessness, in their misery, in their feeling lost. Is there an answer? And they're either going to go watch a fucking law of attraction video and try to raise their vibration again, or they're going to join a spiritual fuck club. And the clock, even though there's no time, where we live, the clock is ticking. Okay, so all of that said, Carol asked, hey, what about maybe doing a really small group, 3 or 4 people that we meet once a week ish, just doing spell breaks if anybody wanted to do that. What I would quote need for myself to make that worth it to me, financially to time ratio, the minutes that I have available for myself, the minutes I have available for me and Dev, the minutes I have available for me and the kids as they're back into my life, the time that I have for me, and then the time that I have for work. With the cost of living in Hawaii and the things that I take on as my financial responsibility, that I provide help to people, there is an amount of money per hour that is necessary for me for it to be worth it to me. And those of you who have healers or whatever therapists that you go to and you pay $60, great, great. That don't work for me at all with my quote cost of living and all the other factors in my life. So what I want to do is I just want to say she's asked me about this, and in order for me to do this, it ain't gonna be fucking free. It ain't gonna be free. And some of you are stretching to do this program. I'm totally aware of that. Some of you are stretched, chose to stretch to come to the event that we're doing in just a couple of weeks. Wow, just a couple of weeks. Wow. In Florida. And one or more of you might like the idea that Carol has of being in a very, very, very small, intimate group that we meet once a week for a session that's just spell breaking. Okay? So if you're interested in that, private message me after after this session's over. Got it? Or after you're watching this replay. Now, Carol's session. I took way more than 3 minutes. Not sorry at all. Anybody find any benefit in what I just said? The rant that I did to explain that? Me too. So I just always trust. When you're present, that's the thing. Not what you're present to is never the thing. Presence is always the thing. So I was on this session with Carol yesterday, addressing an issue that we had talked about. We had done a couple sessions where we were going to address that issue, and we did from all these different angles. And she's, I think I'm ready to address this. And it had to do with eating and, eating disorders. People People call them. You remember the session I did with Mariah the other week? My OCD. It's called fear, and you don't know what it's about. And I'm going to make a wild guess. I haven't communicated with Mariah. I've reached out, and she hadn't communicated back directly to me. See if she's on right now. Nope, that's okay. I figure that quote issue that she was dealing with, I figure there's probably 2 or 3 or 4 different spell breaks to come at it from the angles that will undo the whole thing. Although her choosing to be present will continue to move her moment by moment by moment. So I'm talking to you, Mariah, as you're watching the replay. And what happened yesterday with Carol was one of the most telling and freakily miraculous visions I've ever had. Like literally, as I ask the questions that I want to know and step into more of, the next session I do with somebody helps me. I know I should be paying you guys for these fucking sessions, but I'm not going to. Forget that shit. So she had this feeling of eating from non-presence at times. None of us have ever, like none of us, we can't even relate, right? She's just fucking weird. But don't say nothing because she's on. Anybody ever had any kind of eating weirdness of any kind? Any kind? It's almost everybody. That's everybody. So do I just attract a bunch of fucked up people? Or do you think everybody is dealing with this shit whether they know it or not? Oh yeah. So she was in effect, feel free to clarify anything, Carol. She was in effect at times eating and feeling like she needed to stuff that shit in and more. And like it wasn't going to be enough and faster than she wanted. And she knows to slow down and chew and be present to her food. And so it was very uncomfortable for her. She did not enjoy it. It'd been going on for a very long time. And we have addressed, again, different themes relating to this. And there it still showed up at times. And she had a memory of someone in her life, recent life, not like early childhood, someone in her life that did a couple things at times that she felt very bothered related to food, taking food and stuff. She felt kind of bothered by it. And as she brought that up, knowing how recent that was and knowing the magnitude of it, like it was really clear to me that wasn't, quote, the cause, wasn't the cause. And then she remembered. Now, I asked Carol, you're totally cool with me saying what we got down to? Okay, just absolute respect here. So she said, it reminds me of one time when I was little and my dad took some food off my plate. And I went, oh, there we go. Now, can we be honest here? She's got to be totally fucked up for some little piddling shit like dad taking food off the plate, right? No. If you knew the minuscule, insignificant little moment that caused most of your goddamn crazy that you're still doing, the only thing is that when you were little, it was everything. It was everything. She liked to eat the part she didn't want first so that she could have the best part left at the end. Who knows what kind of family traumas there's been around food in her family for millennia. Who knows what came through the sperm or the egg about hunger? Who knows? So she had her little game. I to eat the part I don't want, like leave the part that's bad. And then her dad took something off her plate. Now, when that happened, it was utterly, absolutely, totally, and completely violating her very being. We don't know what else happened earlier that day that she might have been upset about, and she was like kind of escaping from that upset with her process of leaving the best bites for last. No telling. There's no telling what kind of trauma was in the sperm and the egg about food and hunger in the past that was in her. And then she had some upset that day or the day before, and she still hadn't completely recovered from it because she wasn't fucking breathing because her family didn't know. And so she's sitting at the table in hell. And her escape was to damn save the last yummy bites. And her dad probably probably just playing, being silly with her, maybe. We don't know. And for the rest of her life, sometimes she felt powerless when it came to food. I gotta eat. You see the bridge there? Ain't that many people would have seen that bridge. And we are blessed. We are blessed that I do. And because of it, more of you are starting to see those bridges. Now, that's no big deal except for the fact that she couldn't trust herself in her life because she couldn't control it and she didn't know why, and it didn't make any sense to her. And there were times when it was running so consistently that she was eating in ways that were harmful to her body. And so what we did yesterday, we finished digesting the meal that she was eating that day. How many undigested meals are you carrying around? I'm not just talking about food. Presence is the thing. And you can tell you're not present when you're wound up tight. And you've been wound up so tight, you had no idea that you were wound up tight. When you're wound up tight, always looking for the next threat. She was sitting at the table eating by herself for decades, eating at the table by herself, defending herself from the other motherfucker taking the food off her plate who wasn't there, and stuffing the food in, and then I better eat more because what if, and damaging herself, putting on weight she didn't want, and not being able to trust herself. Who else don't trust themselves? Who got some issue? Who got something where I don't, you maybe never thought those words, I don't trust myself, but check in for a minute, Naz. Check in. Who got something? I don't actually trust myself. I suck at blank. I'm a failure at blank. I can't control myself when it comes to blank. Did you think that you were going to live a happy life in all areas of life while you're carrying a I don't trust myself in that area? No. So guess what you did? You put that shit carefully and frantically in the don't know that I don't know because it has emotion that I don't want to feel. And how deeply have you been relaxing with that sitting there? Because what if you were to relax? Wouldn't it take over? And she said something at the very beginning. She said, Brian, we did a session about it a while back. And for 2 or 3 weeks, it didn't happen. And then it crept back in. I said, did it creep or did it slither? Did it how did that look? Where did it creep? What orifice did it creep into? That shit didn't creep nowhere. Ain't no creeping, nothing. There ain't even it to creep. You perceive it as something creeping because you've been hiding it from yourself. Is there any possibility that all that bound up that you've been dealing with is partly to protect yourself from the things you're hiding from yourself? At the event we did in Michigan, I did something really cool that I didn't anticipate. I had brought a little music system to be able to play some solfeggio frequencies and then I ended up actually, as we were discussing topics, I ended up having a few songs come to mind. I shared the lyrics and then I shared the song. And everybody there found that really beneficial and helpful. When I was working with Christy on our one-on-one days, um, some of that, we did some of that. Very helpful. There's some really magical music that can help us to songs, really incredibly well written music and lyrics that can be an aid in helping us to see some of the things that we ain't been seeing and to remember it. But the music kind of helps it to get in, like all that other shit got in. And there's a song I'm going to recommend to everybody. Um, if there was a really convenient way, if I could flip a great set of headphones onto everybody right now so that you could enjoy hearing this, there's a tune I would play right now. I'm going to recommend that everybody watching the replay, because we don't take notes on session, during the replay, I want you to do a search for the song Stick It Out by Rush. And then, first of all, do not listen to it. Read the lyrics 3 or 4 times. Then go for a walk. And then come back and read the lyrics 3 or 4 times. And then look at the lines and then read the last part and then read the first part. Look at it holographically and let some of it sink in before you play it. And then play it and listen to it. Okay? I want to tell you one piece that comes to mind with this. So many times we bathe our reactions in artificial light. Each time we alter the focus to make the wrong move seem right. You get so used to deception, you make yourself a nervous wreck. You get so used to surrender, running back to cover your neck. And you know what I'm talking about, don't you? Bathing our reactions in artificial light, trying to change the focus and look at it so we don't see. Because the little ones inside of us still believe in right and wrong, and they're still desperately trying to be right while you sit there spiritual fucking all over yourself. What if you relax? What if you pulled out your journal on the replay and you wrote down, what are some areas where I haven't been trusting myself? Even if I never thought it that way before. What might be some areas where I haven't trusted myself? I had never thought about it, but what might be? What could be some areas? What are areas in my life? Anything like feeling like I don't trust myself, like I can't control. In areas I might have felt guilty, ashamed. Because I would bet you money right now, when Carol goes out on dates, I'd bet you money, never once has she ever started the date by saying, I gotta tell you, sometimes I eat like a fucking psychopath. I will just stuff food in my face. I do it a lot. That's only one of my psychopathic tendencies. I have more, let me tell you. By the way, you're not going to eat that, are you? I'll bet you have never done that, have you, Carol? Never started a date like that. I'll bet, while I'm on that note, when your psychology clients come in for a session with you, you don't start the session by telling them either. You really shouldn't be coming to me for help. If you only knew. And so she didn't trust herself and she didn't feel good about that. And she had to hide it. And then we have the guilt of hiding what we don't trust ourselves at. If anyone knew, they would actually probably understand and look at theirs. But we didn't know that. So we reflexively judge them for theirs before they can judge us for ours. And then we got to wind that into the tight ball that we're denying. So what if we were to journal out a little bit of that and then say, I don't know what I don't know. I'm willing to allow whatever help there is, whether angels, guides, myself, my higher self, God, whatever it is, and I trust that it's all part of me, that's actually here for my help and support. I am ready to be shown. I am ready to see. I am ready to see what I've been hiding. I'm ready to love that part of myself. I have a great little 3-sentence thing that Brian either made up or stole from somebody. Look what I created. Feel that for a minute. I forgive myself anyway. And then I feel that. And then I say, I choose peace, and I feel it. And if there was anybody that I ever, quote, violated or harmed in any way through this dance, or anyone that I perceive harmed me, I can take that extra minute to Sit there and look in their eyes, in my imagination, look straight in their eyes until I see the part of them that's actually saying, listen, I was just obeying your goddamn kick me sign. Fuck. No, ain't nobody wrong here. You were only obeying my kick me sign. We see that infinite, unmoving part in them, which I am. And say, I choose peace. And it's done. There's no judge actually waiting at the end to zing your ass. You just created that as the ultimate prison. What if you were to decide in this moment that the final judgment, that we all have been fearing, even though we said we weren't and didn't think we were, that plant, and I don't mean like a green yummy, I'm talking about that thing that got planted, the final judgment. What if the final judgment means the last time I fucking judge? And what if that's all it ever meant? They made it a thing and we bought it. What if we've been wound up and bound up in a knot, bracing ourselves for that final inevitable judgment that someone else was going to do to us, and we're going to get cast somewhere where apparently you burn forever? No, that's where you are when you're believing that shit. And then what if you went to the mirror after you were done? Maybe that takes an hour, 2, 3, maybe you devote an hour or two, maybe you devote a few days. Maybe you start and don't finish it and you get a chance to feel guilty about that. And then you come back and do it. What if you go to the mirror and you look at yourself and you say, I love you completely. I choose to forgive you for everything. I choose to see the you before any of it happened. I forgive. I acknowledge that I'm the one. It was me the whole time, and I forgive you, me, for everything you've ever done, for everything you've ever thought, for everything you've ever thought about what you've done, for everything I ever thought about what I thought about what you've done, and everything you will ever do. I forgive you for everything you've ever done, everything you ever do. I commit at this point that if any brother or sister, which is me, ever comes to me and says, I lied to you, or I catch them in a lie, instead of getting hurt and feeling violated, I'm going to think of what that must have been like for them to think they had to lie to be safe. So now I look in the eyes of everyone that's me, and I say, I choose peace. No matter what you did and no matter what you do, I choose peace. Now you got to ask yourself right now, is there anyone who ever did you so wrong that you're going to hold yourself forever in hell over it? That old saying, holding a grudge against another person is like drinking poison, expecting the other person to get sick. Don't let that be another goddamn meme that you fucking share. Look at it. Is there anyone who has done you so wrong that you're going to hold yourself in hell by not forgiving them for it? Now, you know who I'm talking to when I say this. Feel all that tightness in your body and let it go right now. Just let it go. Relax your arms, relax your shoulders. What that thing you're holding, let that shit go. Unclasp. Thank you. Because all that tightness in your body was reflecting and making tightness in your cells and tightness in your mind. Well, no wonder you weren't functioning the way you want. No wonder you were eating the way you were eating. No wonder you couldn't remember shit. No wonder you were starting things and not finishing them, and then abusing yourself and criticizing yourself. How the fuck were you gonna do when you were carrying all that shit? Now's the moment, because there's a couple people, when I asked that all important question, there's a couple people did not want to even look at the question, let alone answer it. Is there someone who you haven't forgiven and you're literally clinging to the grudge for dear life on some level? If I let that grudge go, they will have gotten away with it. If I let go, thank you, Marilyn, if I let go of this grudge, they'll do it again. If I let go of this grudge, they were right and I was wrong. Listen up, y'all. Love is what's real. And what's real is all that is. All else is misperception. But Brian, what about child rape? What about torture? How can you say that's misperception? Aren't you invalidating their experience? Nope. No, I'm not. I understand how someone whose victimhood is more precious to them than their freedom would choose to interpret it that way. Have I been holding on to any victimhood? Might I have been holding on to any moment when I was unfairly treated? Might I have been unknowingly carrying around on my motherfucking bony shoulders the moment when somebody took a bite of food off of my plate in jest? And I've punished myself by eating in ways that were damaging to me for decades because I was unknowingly carrying that around in me. I don't know about you, Celine. I don't know about you. I don't know about you, Deanna. I don't know. But for me, when I look at that, I say, whatever I'm carrying that ain't me, I am ready to see it, admit it, face it, love it, and allow it to dissolve in the light of love back into infinite possibilities. I do not choose to carry that around anymore, echoing around in my systems, making more of the same. Oh, but Brian, what they did to me. Oh, I know. And now you're doing it to your goddamn self, ain't you? But Brian, you don't realize how. Maybe I do. Who has hurt me bad enough that I am making sure it never happens again by continuing to do it to myself? Anybody willing? to actually allow themselves to contemplate a little while how Carol's carrying that around. No, she didn't know she was doing it. I'm not blaming her. I'm not mocking her. I'm not making fun of her. She was carrying that shit around unknowingly and ongoingly punishing and damaging herself as the reflection of what she thought was done to her. She didn't know it. She couldn't see it. Sometimes I believe, listen, I don't I don't believe anybody needs help from another person, and yet you didn't make the universe with only one fucking person in it, did you? Sometimes the person who you standing in the crowd and there's something happening and you're the shortest person, you talk with the person that's standing beside you that's a little taller. Hey, what do you see happening over there? Would you give me a play-by-play? Especially you, Debbie. I sat with Debbie for a day in Florida, and I had to give her a cushion to get her up to the floor to sit with. That was a trip. So to ask these questions and to begin to open the door, and you can ask other people, hey, listen, if you see me doing any crazy shit, would you tell me? I know that I've always gotten pissed off in the past every time you try to tell me anything, but I'm going at life a little different now. If you see me doing any crazy, would you please tell me gently? Don't say, hey, you psychopathic motherfucker, you're stuffing food in your face. Don't do that. But would you tell me when you see me doing something that, like, wow, it looks like you might not be doing that with total presence? Is that, no offense, but is that really what you want to be doing? And you start to ask those questions of yourself. Look at those things. Do a little journaling. Find out what you've been doing behind your own back that you didn't want to see because you were sure that it would mean you're crazy. You don't want to know that. You'd much rather continue being crazy than find out that you secretly think you're crazy. What if the truth was every single time you'd actually find out you weren't crazy? Well, you were temporarily crazy. And I don't know why, but I feel one more thing on this. I feel one more thing. I heard Eckhart Tolle one time say, if you really think about it, some of you have heard this, I'm sure, one of his recordings. He said, if somebody goes into road rage and kills somebody on the road, then when they're in court, they should be able to be innocent because of temporary insanity. Nobody wakes up in the morning and says, I know exactly what I'm going to do today. Even though I have this huge surplus of love and good feelings, I'm going to go into road rage mode and kill someone. No one has ever woken up in the morning and said that. Any more than Carol woke up in the morning saying, tonight when I have dinner, I'm going to choose non-presence and I'm going to destroy my stomach. She never knowingly said that. And you never knowingly said, I'm going to go do that thing again. I'm going to sabotage another opportunity that I was just telling everybody that I was going to rock out. I feel almost done, and there's a couple more things. I believe this bridge, I got a sense that maybe next week will be the bridge part two. And I know there's going to be some awesome chitty chat going on. Man, the conversations in the group after last Thursday, this has been, I think, the most commenting and posting that we've ever had after a session. And I think that's going to happen again this week. I think the epiphanies and the insights and the, oh shit, I was doing that. I think there's going to be plenty of that. I'm going to open up because I know there's something more today. Any questions, any statement, anybody feel there's something you kind of either must express or say, or anything you feel like you really want to ask? Just check in. You don't have to, nobody just throw your hand up. All right. What you got, John?
Well, the presence thing, and, going back to fighting with the physical universe, I have so many years of, I guess, conditioning, or programming, or things that I know, and actually, part of my life is made up of like people pay me for the things that I know. So, but, I fall back into it, but I've done much better. I mean, it's like, I feel like 3 or 4 times a day or several times a day, I remind myself, or I breathe, I catch myself like panicking or under pressure. Right now I'm doing big project and a lot of things are going on. And so I catch myself and I remind myself, and the training is helping. But how to overcome so many years of habits.
You ready?
Yes.
Presence. And presence by breathing, and something that'll help you right now. Are you sure, John, beyond the shadow of a doubt, and this will be one of my world famous yes or no questions. You might have other things you want to say. If you can just keep it to a yes or no at first, it'll help you. Are you absolutely positive, beyond the shadow of a doubt, that the project you're doing right now is big?
No.
Woo! Feel the beginning of an unwinding. It's already happening inside of your body. As I asked you that question, now breathe. As I asked you that question, every voice in you was available when I asked you that question. Every voice inside of you was available, and in a way, one could say they wanted to jockey for position. Who gets to answer? And you know what I'm talking about. Y'all know what I'm talking about. In that moment that you chose to respect me in the mentoring position that we have, as you chose to respect yourself, because you could have fought me, as you chose to respect me and you chose to respect yourself, and you chose to allow your true self to be the one who used your mouth. A contrast happens, because as you began talking prior to my question, a whole bunch of people were jockeying for the use of your mouth. And you spoke from multiple voices, those sentences that you said. So you can go back on the replay and just whoop, and go back 1 minute or so to when you started talking. Look at those words. You could transcribe it, and I recommend it. Write down every word you said, and then ask yourself, is that true? Is that true? Is that true? And so when I said the key for me, that project you're working on, epitome point, out of all the statements you made, there's an epitome point. Is it true? When I asked you that question, is it true that it's a big project? And you felt every voice in you jockeying to be the one, yeah, well, this would compare to other, all that shit that was available to be said, but you spoke the truth. No. In that moment that you, the real you, got access to your mouth and spoke your truth, every cell in your body heard it. And you felt the beginning of a, relief. And then I pointed it out to make it really fucking explicit. You feel that relief? So let me ask you again. And what I want to encourage you to do is feel your body from your toes to your nuts. Not you ladies, unless you want to. From your toes to your nuts, to your butt cheeks, to your elbows, to your fingertips, to your shoulders, to your hair. Feel your gut and all of your chakras. Don't worry about doing it right or just do it. And then as you feel your body, I'll ask you the question again. I want you to answer from deep down and feel what happens when you answer. John, do you know beyond the shadow of a doubt that the project you're working on right now is big?
No.
And does it serve or benefit you to say it's big when you don't know it is?
No.
Whoa! No. That's the beginning of unwinding. How do I treat people when I'm telling myself and believing that this project is big? How do I react to the people around me, whether they're involved or not? Motherfucker, can't you see that I'm working on a big project? And by the way, I hope you can notice how important I am that I'm working on this big project. Yeah, I bet it's a bigger project than you're working on. So many pieces, so many elements, all hidden from me by me. Choosing presence, questioning your own assumptions. Every once in a while, set a reminder on your phone. With just about every modern phone these days, the ability to create your own ringtones and reminder sounds, they're very easy. Google and there it is. Okay, here's how to do it. Make yourself a reminder that is your voice saying, what did I say last out loud? And was it true? And set that fucker to go off at X15, some random, so to speak, there's no random, some random time every day or every third day so that you don't predict it. Oh, I know my alarm's going to go off. I better be aware of what I'm saying. No, they don't need to do that. And then just like check and see, what was the last thing I said? Was it true? Nope. Because when you become aware of what you just said, which almost nobody ever does, and therefore it gets wound up into the I don't trust myself. When you become aware of what you just said for the first time in your whole life, you get to become aware of what you just fucking said. And in that moment, when you become aware of what you just fucking said, if you look at it, you could say, and what would I have had to have been thinking in order to have said that? And if you actually take the moment to become aware of what you were thinking to say that, you say, well, what the hell would I have had to have believed in order to have been thinking that and said that? And if you go further and you really want to be free and you choose to unwind the illusion and unravel the web you have woven to hold yourself forever in hell, you could say, now that I know what I was believing, which is what led me to think that, which led me to say that, what would I have to think I know in order to have believed that shit that would have inspired me to think that shit and say that shit that I said? And then if you do that, you will be in a position to do what nobody ever fucking does. You will be able to say, and what would somebody feel if they were sure they knew that? I don't know, Brian. That sounds like a lot of work. I prefer to just unconsciously continue to melt prison bars around myself without thought or effort. Because that's what we've all been doing. So, John, do you know beyond the shadow of a doubt that that project you're working on is big?
No.
Me neither, man. I prefer this world where I don't know that. So do you think there's any possibility that you have had unconscious motivations to make projects bigger or smaller in your mind?
Well, it's larger than the ones I've done recently.
I dig that, but you avoiding my question, brother.
Okay.
It's okay. I love you. It's all good. I ain't judging you. Is there any possibility that you have had unconscious reasons to make projects or other things bigger or littler in your mind?
Yes,
I
probably.
would I would agree. In fact, I would say it's actually an undeniable obviosity because I like to make up words. I call it an obviosity. It is obvious because I don't know why the fuck I did it. So I have to be having unconscious reasons for why I did that shit. All right. Carol knew I must have some unconscious reasons for stuffing fucking. It's got to be 47 Oreos till like the last bite. I'm going, just trying to hold it in. 46 won't do it. I got to be maxed out here. So if you accept the possibility that you must have had some kind of unconscious reasons for making projects big or little when they're not, and you don't know what those reasons are, that would be a very fruitful place to look. Very curious. What might I? And I said a couple of them. You know, hey, it's a big project. I'm important, and you wouldn't do that on purpose any more than she would fucking try to prevent someone who isn't there from taking her last 37th hot dog. The best one, by the way, that she saved for last. Presence, curiosity, questioning your own certainty will unravel moment by moment by moment. Is that helpful?
Yes, actually, my energy level, I was super tense for a week, and my energy, I was exhausted when I came here, and just that I have a release of stress, and I
And you
have.
know, big projects will do that to you. You know what? You know what happens when you got a big project. All right, one more thing for you and me, John. You know how sometimes, man, you know how sometimes you just really want to fuck a bear. You know, right? You know what I'm talking about? You know? Yeah, 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 yeah.
Uh,
There's things that we think that we know. Everybody with a bear fetish is still laughing, so you're telling on yourselves, not me. For me, it's always been squirrels. Dev has tried to help me, but sheep. Everybody's doing sheep. For me, it's squirrels. When you know that if you can just finish eating your food fast enough and eat enough that no one can take it, when you know that, you do crazy shit at the table. When you know, you know how you need to eat your food fast. But it's probably best to turn it around, actually eat the best part first, so that if they do take it, they get the shitty part. You know how when you got a big project, you get all tense. Because you have to, because it's a big project. A lot at stake. Pressure. Was the pressure inherent in the project? Yes or no?
no, circumstances, different things. It's compounding things.
Well, but let's just for an experiment, if you don't mind, humor me on one more yes or no question.
Okay.
Was there any pressure inherent in the project?
That's a wide open question. I mean, it
Ooh,
depends.
you don't like that one. Now listen, you can do whatever you want to do. You're the
So
boss.
at the beginning of a project, there's no pressure, excited, you know. Then towards the end of the project, you know, there's
Ah,
timelines, there's other people you depend on.
is there? I don't. Who's this you that you're continuing to talk about? I don't know. I don't
Well,
know.
I'm okay. Are you asking me, or are you just, yeah? I guess
I,
it's, well,
I'm
I
asking.
guess
I'm
I
asking you a
know.
yes or no. I'm asking you a yes or
Oh,
no question, and the real you hasn't been able to get a hold of the microphone for the last 42 seconds, and that's okay.
oh,
That's why I'm
so,
asking you.
okay.
Is
So,
there pressure inherent in the project?
no,
Oh, breathe that all the way in. My God, you wanted there to be pressure in that fucking project. Don't take my word for it.
okay. I trust you.
And I trust you to trust you, which is why I didn't ask me the question. I'm not being a smartass, John. Well, I am, but I'm being a loving smartass. Is there pressure inherent in the project you are doing? Yes or
No,
no?
no,
Is there pressure inherent in bigger projects than in smaller projects? Yes or no?
no.
Ooh,
There is no big or small, I've learned.
that's right. There is no big or small. Now, I am infinitely grateful that you stepped up and started this conversation, John. I'm infinitely grateful that I asked. Does anybody want? And I'm infinitely grateful that you did. And I'm infinitely grateful that I thought you wanted to say something earlier in the session that I knew that you were going to step up and say something. And I'm grateful for all of that shit. And I'm so grateful that up until now, you have believed that there was pressure inherent in projects so that you can find it out right now. The way that you did not want to answer that fucking one question. You were okay with that earlier, a couple questions, but man, when it comes to that one, don't take away my goddamn pressure in these projects, Brian. Don't you know this is what I've been fucking beating myself to death with? Who would I be if I didn't have this pain? Don't take my pain from me. Feel how much you did not want to damn admit that there is no pressure in it. But Brian, no, there is when it gets later. So is there pressure? This is a yes or no question. Is there any pressure inherent in the later stages of projects?
No,
Ooh, nope. Nope. Ain't none. Now, do you genuinely, honestly prefer that there be pressure in bigger projects, especially later?
apparently based on results, you know.
Apparently, up until now, you
Up
have.
until now, yes.
Apparently, up until now, you have had a reason to want there to be pressure in projects, especially big ones, especially later on. How much more longer would you like for that to continue?
I'm just glad to be over. I'll put it that way.
Woo! Well, then let's let it be over. So breathe this all the way in. Everybody, you know who I'm working with. So you know you want to be looking at what you've been making big and scary and painful and right. So, John, is there any pressure inherent in any project?
No,
Is there more pressure then in some projects than others?
no,
Is there increasing pressure as the deadlines approach?
no.
No. So you don't fucking need that shit anymore.
So I can
Now,
clearly see how that's something I believed.
it is something you believed, and I'm saying that you had damn good reasons to believe it. And if you will now become curious, what reasons known or unknown, seen or unseen, conscious, unconscious, hidden, or what reasons might I have ever had for wanting to perceive that there was pressure in projects? And if you be really curious, and if you put your pen down on the paper and not pick it up until it's done doing its thing, you might be really fucking surprised at what comes out. And I'm not going to tell you what they are, but I will give you a couple hints.
It's approval of some type.
You're goddamn right. It's fucking approval.
Now, to whom was probably my dad, for
Well,
sure.
it was probably the same person that was sitting at the table about to take Carol's fucking food when she was the only one sitting there. So very often we are desperately trying to get the approval of motherfuckers who ain't going to give it, weren't going to give it, and died 30 years ago.
Yeah.
Ain't that right, Marilyn? Just give me a little nod. Yeah. Oh. So you turn into a fucking asshole to work with. For everybody, including yourself. Up until now. Putting all that pressure. Hey, Dad, can you see how hard I'm working now? Can I have that hug now? Can I have that word of acknowledgement and praise now? Can you see how hard I'm working? Can you see me tackling all of this? Can you see that I'm super, super busy trying to and not punish me? Because you see how busy I am? Because when I was little that day, and I was going around the backyard, and they were clearing the backyard, and I started grabbing bushes that were bigger than I pulled. They were cutting. I was dragging them over to the pile, and Dad said, "That's my boy." Oh, I'm going to get that forever. Where's the bigger branches that I can pull? Plus, you saw people come out of working under pressure, and they got the big bucks or the big praise or the big whatever. All these unconscious reasons why we would do something so fucking self pain in the asshole. Over and over and over. So what could we install right now? What could we install right now that would be more enjoyable for you? Could it be that you could enjoy doing projects because you enjoy doing projects?
Yes.
Would it be okay for you to enjoy projects?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
I'm enjoying this one and the things I'm allowed to do. I mean, it's a privilege to be picked to do a beautiful project, and that's what I'm doing.
I got a question for you.
Okay.
I know you're surprised. May I ask you a yes or no question?
I know I used the word. Okay. Yes.
Right. Thank you. All right. Are you absolutely certain, beyond the shadow of a doubt, that it's a privilege
I knew it.
to be picked for that project?
No, I'm not.
Oh, no. The answer is no.
But I can tell you,
Oh, you
spiritually.
know what? You can tell me a lot, but right now I'm not going. Right now I'm not going to hear it because I love you too much. I'm not. I'm not here to hear you. I'm here to help. I'm here
Okay.
to help.
When I said that word, I knew.
Yeah. Would you? Would
I'm
you
learning.
rather? Would
I'm
you
learning.
rather? Would you rather that I heard you or that I helped you?
No, I want you to help me.
All
Thank you.
right. You're welcome. Feel that I love you enough to not hear you. I know this is the opposite of what normal life is like for us, because normally we would know if you fucking hear me, then that would be, but not in this case, not in this game that we're playing here. This is a different game. I love you. If you said I would rather you hear me than help me, that's what I would do.
No,
All
I
right.
absolutely know that you love me.
Okay. Do you know beyond the shadow of a doubt that it is a privilege to be picked for such a project?
No,
Say what?
no.
No. There you go, buddy. Feel that and breathe. What if you're beyond privileged? What if there's no project that's beyond what you deserve? Man, I'm so privileged. I got this project. I better fucking struggle. Besides, you're a fucking white man. Obviously, the most evil thing in the history of the universe, according to some privileged motherfucker. Toxic masculinity getting all the good projects. You better struggle. Are you sure beyond the shadow of a doubt that this project is more beautiful than other projects?
No,
Nope. Are you sure beyond the shadow of a doubt that you need the added weight of it being a privilege in order for you to have that project?
no.
So if you look over to the right and you see privileged, and if you look to the left and you see unprivileged, undeserving, notice that you actually sit between them. Why is it true that beyond deserving and undeserving I am? Why is it true that I am beyond deserving or undeserving in all dimensions? Here I am, the author and source of all that is, withholding the vast majority from myself and making some things privileges so that I can feel guilty and undeserving and put stress on myself when I finally get to enjoy them. Do I choose that again, or do I choose otherwise now? The author and source of all that is, holding the good shit away from myself and telling myself I don't deserve it, so that when I get it, I have to suffer. I like the way you're breathing right now, John. Let this down to your toes, man. You know, there's a continuum that I have been talking about, and I'm so privileged to have discovered this. No, I'm not. Bullshit. I am grateful. I am enthused. I am inspired. I'm not fucking privileged or unprivileged, and neither is anybody else, unless they want to continue to suffer. And I can honor their choice. I love being aware, and I enjoy being aware of this continuum that I have discovered, which I have talked about before, of not okay to be, not okay to be me, not okay to be me wanting what I want, not okay to be me wanting and expressing what I want, and definitely, oh, good googity goddamn, not okay to be me wanting what I want, expressing what I want, and fucking getting what I want. Because when I do, they kick my ass. It's a no-win situation, baby. If I get it, I'm gonna pay a big price. And if I express that I want it, somebody's gonna be offended. And if I want it, it's gonna hurt because I'm wanting it and I'm probably not gonna get it. And if I'm being me, then I'm gonna be wanting, and I just know doesn't I don't even want to be. Fuck, kill me now. If you, John, choose to, and it's happening inside of you with every breath you take right now, every moment of contemplation, it's unwinding. If you were to become aware of the Frankenstein beast, and what I mean by Frankenstein, the reference is putting a whole bunch of parts together to make a fucking monster that doesn't actually work. Okay, the Frankenstein that you have built in your mind about what you deserve and what you can have and what work means and how you get compensated and the approval that's there and the pressures that are inherent and how some projects are more desirable than others and some are big, and there's a reason to have some of them big because then you get the dissimilar parts that you have brought together and assembled into this thing that you were hiding from yourself and wrestling with and suffering from and being attacked by, and all the pressures that you knew were in it. And if you get a beautiful project that you're privileged enough to get, that's big enough that you're going to get approval, do you know how much goddamn pressure is going to be in them deadlines? Who made all that shit up? I made that shit up. And I've been beating myself to death with it ever since. John, you think work might be different now? Wait, what? You think work might be different now?
Yes.
Oh, I love them one word responses because there ain't no skirting around that shit. Yeah. You okay having life go the way you prefer?
Yes.
Me too. You have my permission. Not that you need it. So if anybody ever gives you any shit about getting such a great, beautiful project, you say, Brian said it's okay. Fuck you. How you feeling, buddy?
Relieved.
So are we.
And on another note, I'd just like to say something happened when Rex shared the fighting. Since then, And I've had a lot of fights and a lot of things that I've been fighting myself, mostly. But since that session, I realized even with the weight loss, I've never brought it up, but I have a problem, all these other issues. But I thought so many people had so many more seemed important or so, bothersome. But seems every session I'm connecting to since then.
Thank you for sharing that.
So I much for you and other people in the group that another switch was turned.
And what if you were to discover that what you just said, that last thing you just said, flipped a switch for everybody else? See them nodding? You see them nodding, right?
I wear glasses so to see them.
Trust me. I don't say those words often. Take a look. Everybody show him what you just did. You just flipped switches for everybody here. And I want to leverage. Keep breathing. I want to leverage something here. John, one of the things, so for us to begin to look, all right. The next, yeah, breathe that all the way out. Big inhales, let all that emotion come out on the exhale. You don't need that shit anymore. So, John, you were basically convinced that you didn't matter. Everybody else's issues mattered more than yours. I'm sure that started just with this program for you, right? This is the first time you've ever had that feeling that everybody else's shit mattered more and you should just sit back and let them get, right?
Right. No, yeah.
Right, yeah. Uh-huh. So even that is that too. So check this out. The last minutes of this session are the best session ever. This whole session is the best session ever. This last part right here, this is the best session ever, starting right now. You ready? I had a guy come out to do the 4 days with me several months ago. And he opted for anonymity. And if I say like really almost anything about him, it would, people might know who he was. So I want to really focus on the essence of this. This guy has helped a lot of people at a very high level with extremely high expertise in his area of expertise, extremely high, and well known in some of those circles. He was at a point where his life had basically, as he saw it, fallen apart beyond, listen, we've all spent our time in the gutter, okay? And some of us much more. Like if some of us was to hear, if we were to do like a 2-day event where all everybody did was told about the lowest point they've ever been out of their lives, everybody on here would have their motherfucking minds blown. Every one of us, I promise you that. And this guy had gone from here. Let me see if I can get just right above. He was from here to way down in the lava, all in one fell swoop. Mental, emotional, relational, financial. Oh my! I mean everything, y'all. He had everything taken away. He lost it all at once. Intimate relationship, everything. Millions. Whoosh, gone. About as devastated as a person could be feeling. And he came out and did the 4 days with me, and maybe more than anyone that I've ever worked with. This guy never said one conscious sentence in the 4 days that he was here. Not one. I mean, he'd start, you don't think I interrupt you? Sometimes I let you finish a sentence. Tell part of your story. No. And I was just stunned and amazed at how he wasn't able to say a sentence. It's like there was so much unconscious and brilliant, dude, brilliant, so intelligent, very knowledgeable. As he's watching this replay, he's like, fuck. I do share some of these, just so you guys know, with people that'll benefit, okay? We did sessions following up, and virtually every sentence that came out of his mouth. And he was noticing it. And I said, listen, dude, don't worry about it. I don't judge you. If you knew, I mean, I still don't walk on water. You know, I went 4.5 years with my mentor, 4.5 years. I ain't judging nobody for not getting it. And he would go to say something. He's like, and sometimes he'd go to say something. He'd go, I don't want to start because I know I'm just going to 5 words in. I'm going to shit in my mouth. And I found that experience with him so helpful for me to see. Just like every session I ever do, every topic with every single person is a diamond mine for those of us that don't skim past. So John, when you were done, okay, when Karen P, I've joked about this before. Karen knows I love her and she loves me. With Karen, we had a trend for a little while over the course of a couple programs where she would come on to tell about her win. And as she would shit out of her mouth. And I'd be like, while she's trying to tell me about a win, I'm like, you want help with that? Because she was still talking out the old. You know what I'm saying? You can watch some of those for your enjoyment. And John, as you were talking, when you got to the end and you're having your, oh, wow, and I realized this thing, the last thing that you said revealed the next. That all this time you've been in the program believing you didn't deserve to step up and get help. You felt like everybody else should, which is what you've been feeling your entire fucking life. Putting everybody else first and holding John for last. In this program of all places. What a beautiful, miraculous, awesome thing to see and be aware of. And because once you become aware of it, you make the implicit explicit, it's done. So for the next 30 days, it's time for John to be a selfish motherfucker to compensate. You're going to have somebody in the next 24 hours ask you for something. And I want you to check in and I want you to be honest. You know what? I feel a no on that one. Oh, and by the way, I ain't telling you why, motherfucker. Because they'll know. If you look at the still infinite part of them, they'll know that they only asked you so that you could have that experience. Nope. Not doing it. I don't feel a yes on that. And that's all there is to it. Well, John, would you, you've always kissed my ass and done everything for everybody and not for yourself. Why the fuck are you changing now? What the fuck's going on, John? And you say, just for an experiment, I'm not going to take any time explaining myself. You'll be fine. And so will I. Okay?
Okay, thank you.
If you don't put John first, you'll be lying to yourself, telling yourself that you're putting everybody else first. Because that little boy who's feeling shortchanged, oh, he'll be grabbing the microphone every once in a while. Mm-hmm. So if you ain't loving yourself, if you're not giving to yourself first, then you're giving to everybody else from an empty bucket, and there's going to be all kind of pressure, especially in the big ones that you got so privileged. Is it okay for you to get those projects?
Yes.
Do you need to pay any price to get them?
No.
Anybody else ever been jealous about you getting some of those projects?
Yes.
What if you didn't give a fuck? I'll bet you $1 million that every single person that ever tried to be unkind to you, every person who ever showed their jealousy, every person who ever scowled at you, talked behind your back, every person that ever resented you was only obeying your kick me signs. There was never any reality to any of it. There was that time when you were little that you got the bigger piece of cake and somebody else was pissed off and then they didn't like you and you felt really hurt and you've been feeling it ever since. So be curious about what that was. What was that moment? What were those moments in childhood when I feel like I got something and somebody else was upset about it and I have been hurting ever since? Feeling better, buddy?
Yes.
More
Yes.
the way you
Much better.
prefer?
Yes. More the way I prefer.
All right. So thank you, John.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you. Thank you to the group. I appreciate it.
You are welcome. And so do we. All right. So what if you're perfect? What if you're actually perfect? Not good enough. I can promise you, if you can hear my voice, I can guarantee you, you are not good enough. Trust me. You're not good enough. Do you hear me? Can you let that shit in? You're not good enough. You will never be good enough. It doesn't exist. It's an impossible target. It's insanity and delusion. You're perfect instead. Yeah, but Brian, I do all that dumb shit. No, up until now you did. And if you quit saying you do, you might stop. What if you're perfect? What if what you want wants you? What if the universe is you? The universe is your body. What if everything you've ever seen reflected on the net of gems was actually only everything you think and believe that you know? Much of which is hidden from you by you, which is the shit that you don't understand and you get confused and upset about. And what if you're actually not getting upset about it? What if it's the emotion inside of you that you're feeling when you see that you've been hiding from yourself reflected on the damn net of gems in front of you? Get a little more curious. Don't know so damn much. Every once in a while, when you're really sure about something, you find yourself talking to somebody, you're talking, in that authoritative voice that you feel so proud of. I'll tell you how it actually is. And just notice that and then run around the corner where they can't see you and say, is that really true? Do I know beyond the shadow of a doubt that shit that I just said that I was so sure? Question yourself. Question your certainty. Unravel. Chill the fuck out and relax. And these things will come up and out. Every woman who has ever had a baby, quote, naturally, every one of them who relaxed had a very different experience than the ones who tightened up to make it happen. Give birth to all them babies you've been carrying around inside of you. Just relax and let them out. Turn back into infinite possibilities, and you choose again. I will see you in the conversation in the group, and I will see you next week. Much aloha.